There was nothing in there. All right, what boat are you in? Boat A, you've been consuming green juice for a while now and you completely believe in it. Boat B, you're not a green juice drinker and you think it's a total ripoff. Or boat C, you may or may not have tried it and you aren't really sure what to make of it either way. No matter what boat you're selling in, here's where we all get our answers. Today with me, I have the most popular green juice powder products out there. I have AG1 or Athletic Greens 1. I have Heal Green Daily Greens, and I got Organifi green juice. The superfoods, the weight loss, the detoxification, the stress management. Are these green juice powder products life-changing miracles, or are they big old money draining sham arooskies? In which I need to write off on my taxes because I spent a lot. Welcome to No Lab Coat Required. My name is Johnny Cole Dixon. All right, let's first lower our shoulders and address our attitude as we always seem to do here, because we have to recognize something when it comes to stuff like this. We are skeptical, even more so hyper skeptical of big things that promise good. We have no hesitation reaching for a sleeve of Oreos because it doesn't promise us any good. But when a popular item says, hey, I am healthy for you, we're kind of like this emoji, like, prove it. We're gonna give green juice a fair shake. I narrowed down the reasons why someone would purchase and consume green juice powders. Number 1, nutritional boost. We heard that just one scoop of the goods will give us a bunch of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and just a whole lot of other stuff to make us feel good. Number 2, weight loss. You may have heard how consuming green juice products can support weight loss. Or number 3, you may have heard how green juice powders are the item for cleanses and detoxification. The best way to consider green juice is on a spectrum because it promises a lot. Not only that, but it makes different promises to different people. So it has a lot of ground to cover. And because of that, naturally it's gonna be really good for some things and mostly useless for others. So I present to you the ultimate green juice spectrum, sham to miracle. We're gonna look at each promise of a green juice powder and see where it lands on the spectrum. All right, first up, nutritional boost. Is green juice doing anything? Am I actually getting all of these powerful nutrients? Okay, so we're really talking about nutrient delivery. And to understand nutrient delivery, we have to understand digestion, which happens to be one of my favorite subjects to study. There's one big thing that I want us to walk away from this video knowing, and it's not just applied to green juice, but any supplement, and that is that they are hacks. Okay, so what does that mean? Let's look at it this way. Kale, it's a common green juice powder ingredient. Now, we've never scooped out our green juice and dug out a whole kale leaf, but we know it's in there somewhere, it's just powderized. When it comes to nutrient delivery, we're really asking, how does the performance of kale as a powder compare against the performance of kale as a whole food? And we're asking this question of every ingredient in a green juice product. Allow me to introduce to you the food matrix. The food matrix has been described as the complex assembly of nutrients and non-nutrients interacting physically and chemically that influences, says a lot of words here, but we're gonna actually focus on what we came here for. We want to know how the food matrix influences bioavailability. Bioavailability is a super cool word, and it means the fraction of a consumed nutrient that is actually going to be absorbed into the blood to either be used or stored. So what are we saying? We're saying that when this kale leaf, raw as is eaten, there's a fraction of nutrients that the body is actually going to bring into the blood, and there's a fraction of nutrients that won't be able to go into the blood. They'll just continue traveling down the GI tract, headed toward the rudder. That used portion is what's bioavailable. Now that unused portion, there's many reasons why a nutrient may be unused or bio-unavailable, if you will, but scientists would argue that a nutrient can largely be bio-unavailable because of the food matrix. So what the heck is the food matrix like? Actually, well, it's something we actually understand intuitively. We can view it this way. You order a product off the internet and it's delivered in a box. Totally normal. Now what? Well, we're gonna take it out of the box because it can't be used while it's still in a box, while it's contained. That's the food matrix. The nutrient can't be used if it isn't free of a physical container or tethered to some other molecule because of chemistry. This review highlights some of the things affecting the bioavailability of nutrients. So if the black square is a nutrient, look at the things proteins that can hinder its bioavailability, from the way a molecule is arranged to it being literally confined in plant cell walls. Kale, it's rich in folate or vitamin B9. That same review mentions how folate can be tethered to some folate binding proteins or physically entrapped, just like a product in a box. And just like we can simply open a box to take out the product, we can do the same exact thing with the kale leaf. By turning it into a powdered form, we can simply access the nutrient. It's a hack. We are hacking the matrix. Sounds kind of feels illegal. So what's dope in theory about these green juice powders is that when we take these foods and we process them down into a powder, we're breaking down or canceling out a lot of these food matrices, preventing us from enjoying the full capacity of a nutrient. Now, we have to say in theory, because we can never just completely get rid of the food matrix. Like, so a scoop of green juice powder isn't just a scoop of loose nutrients. No. The matrix is still there. It's just modified from what we'd get in nature to a green juice powder. So the best way to put it is this way. A lot of nutrients are set free, but that does not dismiss the chemistry that can and still does take place. So if you've ever looked at a green juice powder and just wondered, there's a lot of stuff in here. So for example, AG1 has over 75 ingredients and Heal has over 91. It isn't too out of the ballpark to question, am I getting all of these nutrients in everything they promise? This is your answer. This review states food matrices allow for different interactions. Some are synergistic or additive, while others may be antagonistic or neutralizing in effect. In other words, the components of the food matrix, which we know can be nutrients or non-nutrients, these things can come together and team up and increase in effect. They can antagonize each other and compete, meaning one or the other, or they can completely cancel each other out, meaning nothing happens. This is how the food matrix works. So are we getting all of these nutrients and everything that they promise? No. Now, does that mean that green juice powders are committing some type of crazy crime? No. It just means that when we view it this way, we can't bank on every single ingredient having an important role or even a role at all sometimes. In other words, the more does not necessarily equal the merrier. And this is especially the case with vitamins. Vitamins are used on a per need basis, and our job is just to supply the body with an adequate amount of them. And when the body has enough, it's gonna store the rest or pee them right out. Okay, so one time on a brisk Chicago day, me and a bunch of guys were doing a community volunteer project. We were moving food around in a tent, and the project probably called for 8 dudes. We were 18 or 20 deep, so we were supplying unnecessary amounts of manpower. We just had a bunch of dudes kind of standing and swaying their arms, looking around, waiting to be used, and the body is kind of doing the same thing with our vitamins. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It just means at some point we start to get a diminishing return on our investment with the more and more we consume. The food matrix is a pretty picky thing to talk about. We're basically splitting hairs here, but what do you want from me? You clicked on a video about green juice. Overall, let's plug Nutritional Boost into the spectrum. Given that we trust the company and what they say is in there is actually in there, right? If it says ginger, it better be some ginger in there. We're dealing with some pretty powerful stuff. Even with the complexity of the food matrix, I bet we are still intaking a substantial amount of liberated nutrients. Therefore, Nutritional Boost is nearly miraculous. Now, I do want you to watch this video all the way through because we're gonna get to a part where I talk about what I think green juice gets right and what I think green juice gets wrong. But let's move on to weight loss. Now, just because I have these 3 brands with me for some reason, which I don't totally understand yet, does not mean that what I'm talking about is exclusive to these 3 brands. Oftentimes you'll hear that green juice powders can support weight loss. Let's look at the ways in which they say it can. Organifi tells you right on their website. They say ashwagandha is the key. Ashwagandha, another also common green juice ingredient. It's in each brand I have with me today and probably in any other brand of green juice powder you'll get. Organifi reads, it's clinically proven to reduce cortisol, which reduces stress and food cravings and helps to achieve weight goals. Now, it isn't just ashwagandha. You can go to any green juice powder site and you're going to see part of its marketing is this word adaptogens. Adaptogens are loosely defined as a compound or product that increases the ability of a person to resist, adapt, or become resilient in non-specific ways to biological, physical, or chemical stressors. Just sipping the stress away. So green juice powders could actually have quite the merit for helping to regulate stress, but we're talking about weight loss here. Could this ability actually mean something for our waistlines? Now, if you don't know, cortisol is a hormone. A hormone is a chemical messenger. Chemical messengers is what the body uses to communicate to certain tissues and organs, basically telling them what they should do. Cortisol is specifically expressed when we experience stress. So the question is, what is cortisol telling our body to do? Because when I see what Organifi says, my first thought is that everybody isn't subject to cravings. But I did a little digging, and cortisol is actually quite the complicated little booger, but one of its primary functions is when we undergo stress, its job is to liberate energy. So it starts to free up stored fat, and it starts to free up stored glucose. Now, upon first glance, that's not bad at all. Who doesn't want to free up a few fat stores? But the story does not stop there. You see, cortisol also represents this rebound effect that after liberating so much energy, it wants to get it back. So it actually goes and tells the brain to eat to compensate for all of the energy lost. And every piece of literature I came across noted that in this state, the body prefers high caloric comfort foods, aka that junk. So reducing stress is important, but what I probably wouldn't tell somebody is to rely completely on green juice to do the trick. We're talking about stress and weight loss, but really we could spin nearly any ingredient in a green juice powder and say X ingredient can help our weight loss because it does Y, and Y affects Z. Now I do want to be fair here. AG1 and Heal do not boast weight loss. They seem to be keenly aware of how their ingredients could potentially help us regulate stress, but it's full stop there. So they're not throwing weight loss in your face. So to answer the question, can green juice powders support weight loss? Yes. However, there's a lot of things that can support weight loss. I think the better question to ask is it a potential primary mover? Can it cause weight loss? And which the answer would be absolutely not. There's not a soul walking that's lost a significant amount of weight that we'd be able to ask and they tell us, hey, how'd you lose all that weight? And they say, oh, I just added green juice to my routine. And look at me now. If we're talking primary movers of weight loss, we're talking meal composition, meal habits, sleep, physical activity, and stress management, I'd argue in that order. So to say by way of ashwagandha or any of these ingredients that they can reduce cortisol, therefore reduce stress, I mean, that's awesome. I'll take that any day of the week, but that's on the lowest level of how this can potentially help my weight loss. There are 4 other even more impactful modalities to focus on. Now, that isn't to say that green juice powder is completely useless in our attempt to lose weight. I'm actually going to talk about some ways to use green juice in a bit, but it's to say that we got to be careful in our attempt to lose weight because a lot of things get our money. A lot of things get our money. Just don't let weight loss be the reason why you purchase a green juice product, because I believe it holds value, just not necessarily in this department. And for that reason, when it comes to green juice for weight loss, I'm gonna have to go a lot closer to sham. But hey, while we're here, what the heck? Since we talk so much about stress, assuming that the adaptogens in a green juice are doing exactly what we think they are, green juice could be quite good for helping to manage stress. So I think it fits about right here. Green juice as detoxification. Okay, let's start off at the top by first acknowledging that detox is probably top 3, if not the #1 buzzword in the health space. If you want to move product off your shelf, just say that it detoxes. If you want to explain how something works in the body and you really have no clue, throw the word detox in there, it might click. It's the perfect word with just enough ambiguity yet believability. It isn't too extreme to assume that the body has some stuff in it or toxins that it needs to get rid of. So we're asking, how exactly does green juice powder act as a detoxifier or a cleanser? Okay, so toxicology is all about identifying some of the harmful effects of certain chemicals and substances. Solely the dose determines that a thing is not a poison. Famous quote by the father of toxicology, Paracelsus. Realizing that anything can be harmful to the human body depending on its dosage. This also goes for life-giving essential items like oxygen and water. We have to remove the thought that there is this special class of chemicals that just wants to take us out. Now, with that being said, there are some things that are strictly bad for humans. That's why we call snake venom poison. But the reality is, from the drugs we pick up from the pharmacy to the most widely used drug in the world, caffeine, to some of the maybe more unattended items that find their way into our system, the body is continually processing and handling hundreds of foreign chemicals a day. And guess who's in charge of running the detoxification show? Mr. Liver himself, and he's pretty good at it. So now we're removing another thought, that anything other than the liver can detox the body. And shout out to AG1, they seem to be keenly aware that the product itself is not the tool that the body uses to detox the body, as their package reads, daily support for the body's normal detox process. And of course, I guess I can buy that in theory. Supplying the body with essential nutrients can in turn help the body perform to do its job. Now, you have to jump quite a few chasms to draw that conclusion, so it's definitely a stretch, but I kind of get it. If you're a green juice company, you're going to want to say something about cleanses or detoxification because these products are sought after for that reason. Now, what we could do here is I can go into some of these specific things that are in a green juice ingredient list and how they can support the liver's detoxification process. But I don't feel like it. I'm just gonna say that I believe the liver can sufficiently detox the body with or without a green juice powder. Now, I realize when we say the word cleanse, detoxification isn't necessarily what we have in mind. I think when we say the word cleanse, we're more so talking about the body cleaning itself out, rather that's of any food residue or any other loose idea of metabolic residue. Can I give you the best way to actually cleanse the body? Stop giving it stuff. A fast. A fast is hands down guaranteed 100% the best way to cleanse the body. Okay. And you know I got the physiology to back this up. Here's one of the coolest things our body does when we engage in fasting. It's called the migrating motor complex. I can't describe it better than this review does. The propulsion of residues from the lumen of the small intestine into the colon. Thus, it is considered to be the intestinal housekeeper. So this is taking foodstuffs, residues from the walls of our intestines and pushing them down toward the rudder. Fasting is literally clearing out our intestines. It's just so awesome. And if that isn't cool enough, I got another thing. Fasting ramps up cellular autophagy. Now, autophagy is a layered process, but you look it up in any literature and you're gonna get how it's a tightly regulated process of the cell removing useless proteins, clearing damaged pieces of the cell, and getting rid of unwanted bacteria, thus functioning as another residential housekeeper. And it just don't get not much gooder than that. Seeing that the body self-regulates all of its cleaning and detoxification, sipping on green juice just ain't touching the action of the liver or the power of fasting. And for that reason, I'm gonna have to place it way low towards sham. And so think about all you've heard about green juice and face the music. This is what we got. Now, I think it still holds value, but the question is, what is it good for? Number one thing that it's good for, you may actually feel better. Because the nutrient delivery is near miraculous, we are giving the body quite the punch. So we could feel better. We could feel more at ease. We could feel more calm or more energized or more focused, less stressed, right? You name the claim. Now, I bunch all of these up together because they are subjective and unquantifiable. I personally don't tell people to buy something because they're just gonna feel better, right? And that doesn't mean I'm right though. I just like to explain concrete mechanisms. A million factors go into how a person feels, and some people will be able to attribute them feeling more energized to their green juice, and I can't deny that. Number one thing green juices get wrong: daily consumption. If you take a gander at the nutrition label, you'd quickly realize that sucker ain't skimping out on no vitamins or minerals. A lot of us are getting more than enough of what we're going to use in a day, especially if you are a straight up whole foods consuming gangster. Again, green juice isn't hurting anybody, but it's okay to stretch it out and make it last a little longer if you want. I look at it this way: because we know eggs to possess every vitamin except C. If you knock back 2 eggs and then add a scoop of green juice on top of that in the morning, you got enough vitamins in you to pee in a bottle and make your own supplement. Sorry. Number two thing that green juice gets right: using it as a meal replacement. They don't really push this. You won't find this in their marketing, but I think it's one of its greatest uses. If you want to keep the day light or want to skip breakfast or skip lunch, or maybe you're just a little hungry, I think that green juice is one of those things that fits snugly in that scenario when you don't really want a lot or you don't want to chew. Chewing is hard work. Number two thing that green juice gets wrong: detoxification. Just no, it does not detox. But if we were to go on a long fast, I think green juice is the perfect product to help us get through one. Does it technically break a fast? Yeah. Yes. But it's fun. What? That's the thing. They're fun. Green juice is fun. And listen, I know why you're here. I know the kind of person you are. I know the kind of person I am. We're health conscious. We think sody pop is trash, but we still want to get excited, right? Because water is just so straightforward. So we look forward when it's time to have our green juice, or when it's time to add our little electrolyte packets throughout the day, or when it's time to make tea. Tea time? Oh man! These hats have sold out on in the shop, and they are now restocked. So they are available now. You can go down in the description and grab you one, along with its cousin. If you'd like this two-tone one that I'm wearing on my head right now, it's available in the description. Go ahead and get yours. Also, I'm increasing my activity over on Instagram if you'd like to follow me there. We're almost at 900, I believe, last time I checked. So go ahead and join the club. I just like the number 9. So let's get to 900. All right, I'm gonna get about y'all way.